What's going on, ladies and gents? This has been a highly requested video, 13 reasons why your campaigns bomb, and most of them are outside of your control, kinda, and you should know why campaigns do this. And if you are in a space, an environment where you're just starting out your Facebook ad agency and you've had one client account bomb and another client account bomb, for some reason you end up wearing this like a scarlet letter, and I don't want you to do that. Instead, I want you to have a thorough understanding why some campaigns work, some campaigns don't, and ultimately why you can run the same exact campaign for two separate clients. One loves you and one hates you. So by the end of this video, you should have an understanding of why. Before we get started, understanding these 13 reasons will allow you to be happier, healthier, and more control of your agency journey. And keep in mind, by the way, athletes don't do one workout and then make wild decisions based upon how they feel. They do 10 workouts, look at their progress, and adjust. You should do the same. More so, you can send two kids to Harvard. One will drop out, one will be massively successful. And whose fault is that, right? Harvard doesn't say, oh my God, somebody dropped out, we have to change everything, we didn't work. They don't say that, and you shouldn't either. It's the same way with your agency. I don't want you to let one client's success or failure determine your journey. Just like successful athletes, you should do 10 clients knowing some campaigns won't work, just like some workouts won't be the best. And then look back at the total results and see what's going on. So that said, here's 13 reasons why your campaign bombs. First things first is your client's offer is not an easy yes. An easy yes is what gets people in the door. Small, low barrier entry. Let's go, let's get started. You look at Apple. For $200, you can experience Apple, their stores, their ecosystem, the great products and services. They don't say you got to buy a $5,000 iMac Pro. For $200, you can get started today. Amazon, for $97, you have 2-day shipping. Costco, $55, you can walk in and see all the discounts. Your client needs to have an easy yes, low cost, high value, get people in the door. If your client doesn't have that, if your client doesn't have an easy yes that gets people in the door, guess what? People aren't going to come in the door. If your client is saying, hey, I want to hire you, a marketing agency, to help sell my $3,000 thing that hasn't sold in the past, that isn't an easy yes, it's super complicated, your campaign's going to bomb. It's not your fault. It's because your client didn't have an easy yes. Number two, your client is too far from customers. We see this all the time. They're selling space heaters to people in the desert because they want to be quote unquote a business owner. That's fundamentally incorrect. We've seen barber shops on the 17th story of a floor with no foot traffic. We've seen bike shops at a location only accessible by car. We've seen chiropractors far from any urban city centers, and even dentists trying to sell crowns and implants, and they don't even have senior citizens in their city, in their town. If your client is too far from your customers, you can run all the ads you want. The dream clients are not even close to them. Number three, your client has too many alternatives. If your sofa company raises its prices, people will buy a chair. If flowers increases their prices, people will buy chocolate. If your client has too many alternatives, guess what? People will look at the prices and then just go elsewhere. And for example, let's say you have a client that says, hey, we want to sell these $1,000 TVs that are 50 inches tall. Everyone's going to love them. And then you do your research, try to figure out why a campaign bombed, and realize really quickly a guy down the street was selling 48-inch TVs for $500. All you're doing is generating business for him. Yeah, that's how that works. People get interested and desire in a TV, do some research, walk by the other competing store and say, oh, I can save $500 and only lose 2 inches. So, number three, the client has too many alternatives. Number four, the clients can't upsell. We see this with our agency all the time. We'll have somebody sitting in our client's chair and say, hey, I'm interested, let's talk. And the client says, well, blah, 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 blah. 10 people in, the campaign bombed. And you know what? We'll run the same exact campaign for another client. They'll have 10 people in the chair. 5 of those will get a $180 scan, and 3 of those will turn into a $3,000 patient each. And you know what? They've made over $9,000 of the campaign. The difference is the client can or cannot upsell. If you have a client that is unwilling to sell the next step of what they do and how they do, your campaign will bomb. Again, not your fault, but theirs. Here's another example. Competing services are too strong or too many. If you're walking around town and you end up seeing a car that's way too expensive and you see a bike next door, you're going to buy the bike. If you see a luxury condo that's way too expensive and down the street you've got a mid-tier condo, you're going to get the mid-tier condo. If your client has too many competing services that are too strong or too many, they're just going to go elsewhere. And I'll give you a real-life example. There are 30 chiropractors within 1.5-mile radius of my office. If at any time my chiropractor isn't open, I'll go elsewhere. If the front desk gives me flack, I'm going to go elsewhere. If I can't do what I want, I will go elsewhere. Hair salons do this all the time, restaurants too. When was the last time a restaurant was closed for 2 weeks? Or sorry, when was the last time you went to a restaurant that didn't have reservations for 2 weeks and you didn't end up going to a next restaurant? You just go next door. Hair salons, again, if your hair salon person is closed, guess what? You just go next door. So another reason why your campaigns bomb, competing services are too strong or there's too many of them. Here's another one. I absolutely adore this. A client has a horrible reputation. They got 1 out of 5 stars. Everybody hates them. And then they employ a marketing service company saying, hey, you know what? We're going to get you more business. What can I do here? They have the worst reputation in town. We see it on the comments of their ads. We see it on their Yelp reviews, on their Google reviews. Some clients just end up putting themselves in a position where they hate their customers. They feel like they should have retired 10 years ago, aren't being recognized for their good work, and it takes a toll on their business. Clients and customers experience it, and then they just go elsewhere. So their campaign bombs. Another example is a client doesn't have capacity. If you were ready to buy right here, right now, would you wait 2 weeks for an appointment? Or would you just not show up? More importantly, would you go elsewhere? I've had phone conversations, in-person conversations, and consultations with hair salons that say like, hey, I really want new business. And I say, great, how often are you open? 3 days a week. Okay. And what's the most number of people you can see every single day? 5. I say, so at the most you can do 15 people. And they go, yeah. I say, so how many people do you have every single week? Oh, we have 15. Are you willing to increase the number of hours and the number of slots? Oh, no, not at all. Well, you don't have capacity for more clients and customers. If you hire a marketing company to generate you phone calls, business, and things like that, you won't take them on and your campaign will bomb. This happens all the time. Another reason, client has structural problems with their business. They're sitting in a small, dimly lit hotel room or a poor office complex and park with a $2,000 a month rent selling $100 widgets. They hate their business. They're understaffed, undertrained, undereducated, and they run around town saying, I need new business, so they hire a marketing company. I don't care how many $100 widgets you're selling for them. They've got no margin and they have to pay their rent. They're not going to renew and they'll probably be massively unhappy. So the campaign will bomb. Here's another one. The client has wrong expectations. This happens all the time. They'll tell their friends, their family, they'll put on a vision board, they want to buy a Ferrari or $1 million house, and they'll say, oh my God, the only reason I'm not more successful is because I haven't had a marketing company get me more clients and customers. And when they realize that they're not going to be an overnight hometown celebrity and people won't be flocking to their restaurant, bar, or business or wherever, gawking at the opportunity to pay them money, well, their future-paced vision comes crashing down. And guess who gets the brunt of it? You. And 9 times out of 10 when this happens, the agency, including me and myself, well, we had no idea that the expectations were so high. They just told us what they told us. And then the campaign bombs. Here's another one. The client takes too long to convert. Which is a better scenario? $6,000 in 6 weeks or $6,000 in 6 months? If you look at real estate agents, the biggest reason why they bomb their marketing is because it takes them 6 months to convert a client or customer. There's nothing the agency can do to control that transaction. It's going to take 6 months no matter what. But if you look at, say, a dentist, well, that $3,000 deal could probably come in half the time or even less. And sometimes that $3,000 deal is actually 30 grand. Now that's called speed to cash. The clients are happier and healthier, and they end up renewing. But if your client takes too long to convert an opportunity into a sale, your campaign will bomb. Here's another fun one. The client doesn't actually want to grow. They'll be in this huge pain, this huge challenge, or trying to figure it all out, and they end up putting themselves in a position where they say, I have to do something. And that something could be hiring a coach, expanding their business, hiring an employee, or hiring a marketing agency. But just like people are in pain and want a career so they go to college, they didn't actually mean to go to college. They just meant to get a better job, and college was one of the ways of doing it. They didn't want to go to college. They didn't want to study. And chances are your clients don't want to grow. They don't want to deal with new patients. They don't want to deal with new clients, new customers, new carpet cleaning jobs, new booked appointments, nothing. Instead, they were this huge pain scenario, and they paid your invoice too fast. And guess what? Your campaign will bomb. Here's another one. The client's staff is bad, and I know this because I audit my staff's sales calls. I listen to the front desk, not pick up the call, hang up, and future patients, clients, and customers curse over the recorded call saying, I can't believe they hung up again. I've had clients' staff say, you should go elsewhere. We don't accept that type of business, and we don't want your money. It's because the client has a horrific front desk and a horrific staff. Inherently, they're a bad business owner that just wants to be a technician, but they had to have a staff. Their staff is bad and send business away. So guess what? Your campaign bombs. And lastly, The key point, the number one thing of all this, is the client hasn't sold that thing before. We see this time and time and time again. They'll be at a conference, read a book, get some motivation, and say, wow, I really need a $5,000 or $30,000 package. They'll put some stuff together and hire a marketing company to sell it. But they've never sold it before. That's called an unproven offer. We've run ads for our dental clients and had them say, hey, we want to sell more implants. So you know what? We run implant ads. All of a sudden to discover that this brand new dentist has never sold implants before, has no reputation, wouldn't know how to fulfill the order, and ends up putting us in a position where we're selling an unproven offer, which is the number one thing you don't want to do. And so now with our agency, we only sell more stuff, not new stuff. So that's been 13 reasons why your campaign bombs, and you'll notice most of them are outside of your control. And you should know why your campaigns bomb, not to stop doing it, but to know that no matter what, some campaigns just won't work. Just like some people drop out of Harvard and some workouts won't be the best. That doesn't mean you should stop. That just means you should have a conversation with the client before your campaign goes live. So that's it. See you later. Bye.